Welcome to this overview of FortiDeceptor and FortiSIEM using deception tokens and event monitoring. My name's Dan Hanlon and I'm the product manager for FortiSIEM, and joining me is Moshe Ben Simon, the product manager for FortiDeceptor. A quick recap of the two technologies. FortiSIEM is a SIEM. It's able to collect events and integrate with the Fortinet security fabric, as well as a wide range of third-party solutions. FortiSIEM will bring visibility into the log and analytical data, identify incidents through correlations, and allow you to take remedial action as needed. And FortiDeceptor is a deception technology that really complements organizations for breach detection as part of their strategy to deceive and expose and eliminate attacks that are either occurring from external or internal sources before any real damage occurs. In this use case, we're going to be looking at the FortiDeceptor token lure to deceive attackers that are targeting Windows servers and endpoints. And how do we identify these attackers with high efficacy? We're going to be looking at this as part of the demonstration. Let's take a deeper look at what a FortiDeceptor token is. The token is part of the FortiDeceptor platform and it's included within the license at no additional cost. And it's an agentless technology where we add additional breadcrumbs, these tokens users, onto the real endpoints and servers to deceive the threat actors by allowing them to engage with these tokens and not necessarily a real user. And a deception package is generated on FortiDeceptor and then can be installed on these endpoints and servers as well. So let's take a look at the configuration we have as part of this demonstration, which Moshe will be covering off shortly. We have a FortiDeceptor, a FortiSIEM, and a Windows endpoint or server. A FortiSIEM is configured to collect the logs from the Windows server or endpoint, either using an agentless protocol or it could be using the FortiSIEM agent to receive the events. We have a watchlist configured that FortiDeceptor is also going to integrate with on FortiSIEM. So once we've got the environment configured, FortiDeceptor will start to push the tokens, the users that FortiSIEM will be looking for, into this watchlist. So this is populated automatically by FortiDeceptor. Then we'll wait for the actor to come along, and the threat actor will start to try and compromise the Windows server or endpoint, identify one of the deception lures, in this case a user 001, and when that happens, FortiSIEM will identify the use of this token through the Windows log events. It will generate an incident. FortiSIEM will also update its watch list, and FortiDeceptor is also monitoring the watch list for an update. FortiDeceptor will see this change and will also then go to FortiSIEM and perform an analytical query in the background, so FortiDeceptor will know that the token's been used and also which endpoint or server potentially has been compromised. So without further ado, I'm going to hand this over to Moshe to give you a demonstration.
Thanks, Dan. In this session, we will present a demo of the integration between FortiDeceptor and FortiSIEM with a lateral movement attack scenario using fake credentials against a real asset and not a network decoys. The network environment for this session will include several components: FortiDeceptor appliance with decoy and deception token deployment, FortiSIEM deployment for logging and rule correlation, a Windows 10 endpoint that gets compromised by an external threat actor, and an instance of Calibox for penetration test purpose. Now let's see the integration between FortiDeceptor and FortiSIEM. Under the Fabric Quarantine integration, we can configure the connector between FortiDeceptor and FortiSIEM. The purpose of the connector is to push the fake credentials that we use with the deception token into the FortiSIEM watchlist for monitoring capabilities. We can see in this connector that we have the integration with FortiSIEM. We need to choose the organization that under the FortiSIEM, we need to configure the watchlist name that we pre-configure on the FortiSIEM, where FortiDeceptor will push the whole deception token using fake credentials. We also have the option to configure manually more fake users for monitoring. After configuring the connector, we can go to FortiSIEM and see the watchlist configuration. Under Resources Watchlist Deception Token group, we can see the whole deception tokens that using fake credentials. This token get pushed by the FortiDeceptor automatically. So each time you change your deception campaign, the FortiDeceptor will automatically add or remove the fake credentials in order to help you better monitoring your network. The idea behind this integration is to detect attackers that get exposed to a deception token but decide to use the fake credentials against real asset and not network decoy. Now let's see the attack simulation in real time. We will see a desktop with a PuTTY client that injected with a backdoor access. While the client running the software creates a backdoor to the command and control server. We can see the command and control server running several commands against the system, and we will find out that we cannot make pre-escalation to get system access in order to extract the password. Extracting the password will allow us to move laterally inside the network. In this case, we will run a local exploit against the system in order to pre-escalation our credentials. We will run a local exploit against the system, and we will get a system privilege that will inject it into the first session that get compromised the desktop. We can see that we migrate the service successfully. Now we are running the exploit against the system, and in the end of the process, we will get a shell which has system access on the compromised endpoint. When we get the system privilege on the endpoint, we will load the Mimikatz tool. Remember, the Mimikatz tool, now called Kiwi, if you are using a Kali box. So Kiwi and Mimikatz is the same tool that will allow us to dump the credentials from the desktop. Dumping the password will allow us to move laterally, but we need to remember, these passwords are fake credentials that got injected by the FortiDeceptor platform in order to deceive the attacker to move laterally. But in this use case, the attacker will try to use the fake credentials against real asset and not the fake asset that we see in the credential dumping. We can see the IP addresses of the decoy, but what happens if the attacker will use the same credentials against a real asset? How FortiDeceptor will detect it? The answer is through the integration with FortiSIEM. While the attacker using the fake credentials against real asset, the FortiSIEM will monitor these activities. FortiDeceptor will retrieve these activities from the FortiSIEM using the dedicated API. Retrieving the lateral movement access into the FortiDeceptor allows us to detect attackers that get exposed to a fake credentials, but they are using it against real asset. So now the FortiDeceptor can detect attacker using the fake credentials against fake asset and also detect it against real asset. And doing it is using the integration between FortiSIEM and FortiDeceptor that leveraging the threat intelligence between the platform over the Fortinet fabric. Now we can see the bad authentication against the real asset. While we navigate to the FortiDeceptor UI, we can see the alert the FortiDeceptor retrieve from the FortiSIEM. We also mentioned that this alert get from the FortiSIEM in order to provide you more context around the attack itself, because there is no fake asset involved in this attack. FortiDeceptor is part of the Fortinet fabric and has direct integration for threat response mitigation automation. By integrating analytics driven by AI-based detection, FortiDeceptor provides an early warning of an impending threat campaign. Through security fabric integration, FortiDeceptor automatically triggers a policy action with inline security controls, so containment of the threat is undertaken as part of the threat response. Back to you, Dan.
Thanks, Moshe. That was a really good demo, and it showed a clear integration between both the platforms and how well the deception lures actually work. So just to recap here, FortiDeceptor deploys lures to deceive attackers. FortiSIEM identifies the use of the deception lures on the Windows servers and endpoints. And then together with FortiSIEM and FortiDeceptor, we can quickly alert on the use of these lures and then take remedial action as needed. And we know that these incidents and alerts are of high fidelity because an attacker is using these lures, and it's of high severity. So we've got really no false positives here, and something which we really need to take in action on very quickly. So from Moshe and I, we hope this has been informative and useful, and look forward to seeing using FortiSIEM and FortiDeceptor within your environment.